beginning of the holiday season, and I love the holiday season. I get a little extreme over the holiday season sometimes, but I know it's sad for some people who have lost loved ones, so it's not always easy to enter the holiday season. But different cultures deal with the grief and the memories in different ways. When I grew up, we had All Saints' Day, followed by All Souls' Day, because we had to separate the saints from the sinners. But I love how our beautiful southern neighbors celebrate the Day of the Dead, honoring those who have transitioned to the other side of the veil. And they'll actually go to the cemeteries and decorate and celebrate there, because they know there really is no separation between the veil. It only feels like separation. So today we honor our loved ones with our memory table and our photos and marigolds and candles. Those are all symbols of the Day of the Dead. You know, when we think of that space between the veil that feels like separation, a lot of people, especially Americans, we have discomfort in the space in between, and we want to fill those spaces instead of being silent in the space where we know they are. For instance, if there's a lull in the conversation, it can get a little uncomfortable if it goes on too long. Some people aren't, some people are. We tend to like the flow in life, but not the ebb when it's not flowing. We tend to feel comfortable in the doing, but not the not doing. But the circle of life is about birth and death, the seen and the unseen, the space and the form, the vision and the manifestation. And the fear of separation is what predominates the world. Even the name of God can bring on fear. Our Buckminster Fuller once said, every name of God, be it God, Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, Great Spirit, whatever, no matter how holy, drives a wedge between the Creator and the created, which includes you and me and each of us. This separation is a primal breeding ground for fear. For we then see ourselves as a tiny being abandoned or evicted from paradise and living on the fringe of an incomprehensibly large, huge cosmos. And that space between feels like separation, God and you and me. And we begin to see others as other than me. And that's where the real problems start. As soon as you see someone as other, fear comes up. I might be denied, deprived, persecuted, and abused because of the other. God is not a being in the sky. God is divine love expressing as me and you and the others. Repeat with me, there is no other. Together, there is no other. Oops. Oops. When we perceive other, fear and terrible acts of violence come about, as we're seeing once again. I never thought I'd see some of these things we're seeing again. You know, Jesus was crucified because he did not think his equality with God was blasphemous. He did not think his equality with God and everyone else was blasphemous. And in his day and age, you can only imagine what it sounded like when he proclaimed, may they all be one. Father, may they be one in us as you are in me and I in you, that they may be one as we are one, with me and them and you and me. Think of how that must have sounded. I'm surprised they didn't crucify him earlier. It was blasphemous. And unfortunately, today it still is blasphemous to some who choose to see other as other than me. Jesus wasn't afraid to die. He did not believe in the separation between the veil, the space and the form, the seen and the unseen. We're all one. Now, growing up, we had all kinds of separation with those on the other side. For first, all souls were divided, as I said earlier, between the saints and the sinners, the good guys and the bad guys. And then we had All Souls Day because we couldn't celebrate the souls from the same day as the saints, because the saints were the good ones in heaven, they were perfect, And the souls were, well, they were probably in purgatory, suffering until they were worthy to be, where did we ever come up with that? That anyone could be separate from the love of God. Souls, saints, and sinners, that's what my topic is today. When I grew up, saints were perfect, we were told. And they were held as separate. They were those who sacrificed and suffered, and now they were perfect. But who could live up to that? I love the Course of Love. It talks about when we have that idyllic vision of what we should be, and we have that for ourselves that we could never live up to, then there's parts of us that we put separate, beyond who we are in the present moment. And if we can't accept our own imperfections, how can we accept each other's? And people who think they're perfect are even worse, right? I can guarantee you, as your minister, I will never be perfect. I will always get mistakes in the newsletter and the bulletin. I did it again this time. And people who think they're perfect are obnoxious. Don't you agree? Would you really want to be with anyone or be someone that way? I grew up and saints were perfected. They had suffered and sacrificed. I had a friend that went to Rome, and she went in the Vatican, and they had an art room where they had all the saints. So she went to see all the paintings and the carvings. And all the saints, they were tortured, and they had their eyeballs out, and they had limbs breaking and blood all over. And she got done looking at the artwork and said, if that's what a saint is, I don't want to be one. I agree. We don't have to. Metaphysically, the only way you can deal with the word sacrifice is metaphysically. The revealing word describes sacrifice in this way. It is a refining process that's constantly going on in consciousness. The renunciation or sacrifice of old beliefs that seem good for new ideas that are more our nature of Christ. So we're sacrificing false ideas for divine ideas. We're sacrificing thoughts of separation for thoughts of oneness. We're sacrificing the idea of perceiving each other as other for union in the one presence, the one power. We're sacrificing the idea of souls as separated between saints and sinners for the knowingness of our unity. There's no hierarchy in oneness. It's all about love. In Mark 12:33, we're told, love with all thy heart, with all thy strength, and love one's neighbor as oneself. This is much more important than all whole burnt offerings and sacrifice. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Mercy. This table is full of all people that we loved and formed, those who were not, that we don't see as other. And we chose who to put on that table, didn't we? And we also chose who to leave out. Oops. What about the rest? The people we disagree with. The people that look different, talk different. Maybe the unemployed, the different economic class, the social status who are different than ours. Those who triggered us. I didn't put a single picture on there of somebody who triggered me. Oops. We're all evolving souls, both saints and sinners. People I see as bad aren't all bad. People I see as good aren't all good. And I love the Broadway play Wicked. How many of you have seen Wicked? Yeah, wasn't that great? I love the whole story that in the Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch was it the West or the Good Witch of the East? I never get the directions right. But, the Good Witch wasn't all good when you read the story. The Bad Witch wasn't all bad. We each have both within us. And finally, at the end of the play, they see each other as parts of themselves. We're all on the path of evolving. Awakening doesn't mean we're perfect. If that were true, I would never make it. If I have to sacrifice and suffer, I don't want to make it. The Bible is full of examples separating the good and the bad. Jezebel and Elijah are two of my favorites. Elijah is put up there as this great, great, wonderful man, and Jezebel is, the word for a woman you don't like. But if you really look at the story, Elijah wasn't all good. He killed all Jezebel's priests. No wonder she was upset. And Jezebel wasn't all bad. She was fighting to save her religious practice. They were both sides of the whole. Opposite beliefs. There was space and separation between them because of how they saw each other. Both should be on the table. Elijah and Jezebel. The good witch and the bad witch should all be on the table with us. So how do we make this practical? Well, we live as if it were true the best we can. That there is no other. There's only oneness and only love. And when we trigger each other, it's simply to show places in ourselves that aren't quite there yet. It's not about blaming. It's not about, pointing at them. It's saying, oh, this is a part of me that needs to be healed yet. Every life situation gives us those opportunities. So who might you have on the table that you haven't put on there, that you've left off? Someone with another viewpoint, another race, color, or creed. Someone poor, homeless, uneducated. You cannot accept only the saints, but we have to also accept the part of ourselves that are less than the ideal. And when I can fully admit that I'm not perfect and accept those parts of myself, then I can accept all of you and all your parts that are less than perfect too. We let go of all judgment. When I can accept the saint and the sinner in me, I can accept them in you and not see you as other. And until we're all on the same table with that space and separation will no longer exist. Only one table of one presence, one power. And there's only one place to get it and experience that, in the secret place of the Most High, in the garden of meditation. I'm reading from H. Emily Cady. It is the point of mystical union between man and spirit, where we no longer believe but know that God abides always at the center of our being. One presence, one power. Let's take that into prayer. God, we are willing to leave no one out. We are willing to stop seeing the other as other. We see only one presence, one power. And we bless each one we meet each day. We bless the triggers for showing us the way to freedom. As we forgive and release and let go, we are freed. And we rejoice in each other's presence, dancing on the table of life, one presence, one power, united together in love. Thank you, Father, Mother God, in the nature of the Christ. Amen.
Please join us in singing.